I never thought my wedding day would end with my own mother tallying cash like a bookie at Belmont. Her fingers slick with greed as she muttered, "This'll cover the treatments. Your sister's finally safe." My father nodded. Oblivious to the knife he'd just twisted in my gut, while my groom, my goddamn husband of 5 minutes, stared at the floor like he'd rather be anywhere else. And me, Serenity Hayes, the invisible daughter who'd bankrolled their sins for years. I smiled through the bile rising in my throat, because that's when I knew the swap was coming, and their empire of lies was about to crumble from the inside. It started 20 years ago in that godforsaken suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, where the sun beats down like God's own hammer and dreams go to die in tract house backyards. My parents, Harlan and Marlene Hayes, weren't the monster movie villains with capes and cackles, no. They were the all-American variety, church-going realtors with a minivan and a mortgage. The kind who volunteer at bake sales but cut corners on everything that mattered. I was the older daughter, born with a mop of auburn curls and a laugh that could light up a room. The one they pinned their golden child hopes on until my sister, Lila, came along 2 years later. Lila, with her porcelain skin and those big doe eyes that screamed fragile, like a Faberge egg in a world of sledgehammers. From the jump, it was clear Lila was the star, and I was the stagehand. Oh. They loved me in that performative way. Hugs at Christmas, straight A report cards framed on the fridge, but it was always laced with the unspoken caveat, "You're the strong one. Serenity. You'll make it." When Lila was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia at age 8, the script flipped hard. Hospital bills piled up like Jenga blocks. And suddenly, I wasn't just the big sister. I was the family ATM. The sacrificial lamb in pigtails who skipped ballet lessons so we could afford her chemo. But here's the hook that still chokes me. They didn't just borrow from my college fund or pawn my heirloom necklace. No. They framed me for it all. A little white lie to the insurance company. They called it falsifying records to say I'd had a pre-existing condition that voided my coverage, funneling every dime my way into Lila's veins. I was 10, for Christ's sake, signing dummy forms with my crayon-scrawled name while Marlene whispered, "This is for family, baby." God sees the heart. Harlan handled the paperwork at his real estate office, doctoring dates and diagnoses with the same sleight of hand he used to flip foreclosures. By the time Lila went into remission at 12, my medical history was a toxic dump, blacklisted from every insurer in the state, saddled with debts I'd never incurred. All so she could chase her dreams of Broadway while I clawed through community college on waitressing tips. Fast forward 15 years, and there I was, 27, staring at myself in the full-length mirror of a Scottsdale bridal boutique. The kind where influencers drop 5 figures on veils that look like fishing nets. I'd built a life out of the scraps they left me, a junior copywriter gig at a Phoenix ad agency, hustling pitches for energy drinks and mesothelioma lawyers, saving every penny for this day. My fiancé, Jake, was the real deal, a software engineer from Seattle with a beard that smelled like pine and a laugh that made me forget the Hayes family curse. We'd met at a mutual friend's kegger in Tempe, bonded over bad karaoke and worse exes. And when he proposed on a hike up Camelback Mountain, ring glinting against the red rock sunset, I thought I'd finally outrun the shadows. The wedding was my rebellion, a middle finger wrapped in tulle and topaz. 300 guests at the Arizona Biltmore. Fairy lights strung like stars over the poolside ceremony. A string quartet playing at last, as I walked down the aisle in a gown that hugged my curves like a promise. Jake's eyes locked on mine, and for one breathless moment, the world narrowed to us, Until the reception, when the toasts turned toxic. It was my Aunt Rita who spilled the first drop of poison. Half-buzzed on Pinot Grigio, microphone in hand, to Serenity and Jake, may your love be as unbreakable as the Hayes bloodline. Laughter rippled, but Marlene's face tightened like a noose. By the time the cake was cut, lemon chiffon with raspberry filling, my one extravagance, my parents had vanished into the coat check room, emerging with armfuls of gift envelopes. The kind stuffed with crisp hundreds from Jake's tech bro uncles and my agency's bigwigs. I found them there, cross-legged on the Persian rug amid forgotten shawls. Harlan's calculator beeping like a bomb timer. Mom? Dad? What the hell? My voice cracked, but they didn't look up. Marlene licked her thumb, peeling bills with the precision of a blackjack dealer. Serenity. Honey.
Sit.
This is good news. Good news. The words hung in the air like tear gas. Lila had relapsed 6 months back, stage for this time, the doctors said, with a prognosis that read like an obituary draft. Bone marrow transplants, experimental trials at Mayo Clinic, costs that could bankrupt a small nation. And my parents, ever the entrepreneurs, had turned the family coffers into a black hole, remortgaging the house, maxing credit lines, even dipping into the emergency fund that was really just Harlan's poker winnings from Vegas weekends. But the real gut punch? They'd been siphoning from the wedding fund. Jake and I had crowdfunded half the budget through a honeymoon registry, guests gifting flights to Maui or spa days in Sedona, but Marlene had rerouted the Venmos straight to Lila's GoFundMe. It's poetic. Really, she said, eyes gleaming with that missionary zeal. Your big day saves her life. The universe provides through love. Jake burst and then, face thunderous, having overheard from the hallway. This is insane. We're calling it off. The gifts stay with us. Harlan stood, all 6'4" of him looming like a bad debt collector. Son, this ain't your circus. Blood's thicker than vows. Lila's got weeks if we don't wire this by dawn. The room spun. Guests milled outside, oblivious, snapping selfies by the fountain while my fairy tale curdled. I wanted to scream, to shatter the crystal punch bowls and drag their hypocrisy into the light. But deep down, in that hollow space where hope used to live, I felt the old script rewrite itself. Serenity, the fixer, the one who bends. That's when the call came. Not from God or karma, but from Dr. Elias Crow, the shadowy neuroscientist I'd cold emailed 6 months prior, back when Lila's relapse hit the family chat like a grenade. I'd found his name buried in a Reddit thread on r/conspiracy, whispers of black market tech, neural swaps for the ultra-rich evading death. Body transference, they called it, uploading consciousness into donor shells. A Silicon Valley wet dream funded by venture vultures in Palo Alto. Crow ran a clandestine lab in the Nevada desert, catering to billionaires dodging the Reaper. But he'd replied to my Hail Mary. Desperation is the great equalizer. Hayes. For the right price and the right vessel, miracles happen. I'd laughed it off then. A desperate scroll at 3 a.m. But now, with my parents' hands sticky from my stolen future, I texted him from the coat room. Tonight. Name your terms. His response pinged back in seconds. Vegas airstrip. Midnight. Bring collateral. The swap is irreversible. Irreversible. The word tasted like rust, but it was the only leverage I had. Jake pulled me aside as the band struck up Sweet Caroline, his grip bruising my wrist. Serenity. Don't. We'll fight this legally. Talk to a lawyer. The guests. Anyone. But his eyes flickered with that Seattle pragmatism. The kind that calculates ROI on emotions. He loved me. Sure. But this was my war. Blood-deep and biblical. I slipped away at dusk, borrowing Jake's Tesla for the 2-hour haul to McCarran. The desert swallowing the city lights like a bad bet. Crow met me at a private hangar. A wiry man in his 60s with a hawkish nose and a lab coat over a Hawaiian shirt, equal parts mad scientist and luau dad. MS. Haze, he drawled. Arizona twang cutting the jet fuel stench. Bold move. Crashing your own nuptials for this. Not crashing, I snapped. Sliding a duffel of wedding jewelry across the tarmac. Grandma's pearls. My engagement ring's insurance payout. Reclaiming. Who's the vessel? He smirked, gesturing to a nondescript Gulf Stream idling nearby. Your sister's chart was compelling. But ethics boards frown on familial poaching. Instead, I've procured a proxy, Evelyn Voss, heiress to Voss Dynamics. Daddy's empire, drones, AI surveillance. The works left her a trust fund bigger than God when she OD'd last week. Clean slate. No priors. You'll wake up in her skin. Her penthouse. Her power. Use it wisely. The Neuralink fries after 90 days without boosters. And MS. Haze. Betrayal's a two-way street. Don't waste the ride. Evelyn Voss. I'd seen her tabloid mugshots, blonde, Botoxed, the trust fund terror who'd crashed galas and ghosted A-listers. 25. Same build as me. Give or take a Pilates class. The swap pod looked like a tanning bed from hell, gel-padded slab wired to humming servers. For drips promising oblivion. Crow strapped me in. His voice a monotone lullaby. Consciousness transfer via quantum entanglement. You'll feel a pinch. Then nothing. When you open your eyes. Well, let's just say the mirror lies. The pinch was a freight train. Agony ripped through my skull. Synapses firing like fireworks in a blender. Every memory. Lila's remission party. My first kiss behind the Dairy Queen. Marlene's whispered for family, flashing in reverse. Then black. Sweet. Vengeful black. I woke to silk sheets and sunlight stabbing through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Vegas Strip. My body, her body, ached like I'd run a marathon in stilettos. But God. The power hummed beneath the skin. Long legs. Manicured nails. A reflection in the vanity mirror that screamed, Apex Predator. Evelyn's phone buzzed on the nightstand. Alerts from Voss Dynamics board members. Condolences mixed with merger pitches. I was in. First order, reconnaissance. A quick Google dive on my burner laptop. Evelyn's fingerprints unlocked everything, revealed the Haze's digital trail. Harlan's real estate flips weren't just shady. They were a Ponzi scheme wrapped in prayer meetings. Laundering funds through church outreach programs to pad Lila's bills. Marlene's social media was a shrine to selective sainthood, blessed posts of Lila's miracle recoveries, cropped to excise my existence. And the wedding? Livestream clips already viral on TikTok. Bride's fam steals gifts for dying sis, heroic or heartless. With comments a dumpster fire of judgment. But the real bomb? Buried in Crow's encrypted handover file, Lila wasn't dying. The relapse was real. But the experimental trial my parents were funding? A Voss Dynamics pet project, neural implants for terminal patients. Beta tested on desperate families. Harlan had inked a backroom deal with Evelyn's late father, trading insider tips on Phoenix land grabs for priority access. They'd known about the swap tech for years, dangling it like a carrot. Sacrifice for serenity. And Lila lives forever in a new shell. Except they never told me. I was the decoy. The strong one, meant to fade into obscurity while they played God with my life. Rage boiled low and steady. The kind that doesn't explode but erodes. Like acid on limestone. I booked a red-eye to Phoenix as Evelyn Voss. Private jet courtesy of the trust fund. Jake's text piled up. Where are you? Parents say you snapped. Call me Dot, but I ghosted. Channeling the Ice Queen vibe Evelyn's Insta portrayed. By dawn, I was in a rental Maserati. Tinted windows rolling past saguaros toward the Hayes homestead in Awatuki. They were packing when I pulled up, suitcases by the door. Lila pale and propped on the living room sectional. For pole like a metallic Christmas tree. Marlene spotted me first through the screen door. Her face crumpling in confusion. Serenity? Baby. You look different. Did you get highlights? I stepped inside. Evelyn's Louboutins clicking like countdown clocks. Not your daughter.
Mom.
Not anymore. Harlan froze mid-box tape. His realtor tan fading to ash. Lila's eyes widened. Recognition flickering despite the morphine haze. Ev, what the? How do you know my sister? Close enough. I dropped the bomb. Crow sent me. Your little swap fantasy? It's real. And I'm the ghost in the machine now. I laid it out, the Ponzi. The Voss deal. The way they'd forged my life into their escape hatch. Proof scrolled on my phone, emails, wire transfers, even a grainy security cam from the lab showing Harlan touring the facility last year. Arm around a lab tech like they were old frat buddies. Marlene collapsed into a dining chair, clutching her pearls, my pearls, the ones I'd pawned for her. We did it for love. Serenity. Lila's light, she's the one who shines. You were always so sturdy. Sturdy. The word landed like a slap. Jake burst and then, disheveled from the drive, eyes darting between us like he'd walked into a hostage negotiation. Serenity? Jesus. What happened to your face? Plastic surgery rumors. I guessed Evelyn's cheekbones could cut glass. I pulled him aside, whispering the truth in the kitchen while Harlan babbled defenses. It's me.
Jake.
Trust the crazy for once. He searched her eyes, then nodded. That engineer brain piecing the puzzle. Okay. What's the play? The play. The delicious part. Voss Dynamics implants weren't just life extenders. They were mind control prototypes. Backdoored for corporate espionage. With Evelyn's access codes, I could flip the script, upload their consciousnesses into donor bodies, but rigged to loop in eternal limbo, reliving their betrayals on infinite replay. Controversial? Hell yes. Poetic justice or sadistic overkill? Let the internet decide. But first, the wedding fallout. By noon, I'd leaked the docs to a Phoenix Republic reporter, a buddy from my ad days, with a Voss press release framing it as family resilience amid crisis. The headlines hit like monsoon thunder. Heiress exposes scam. Wedding gifts fund deadly deception. Protests erupted outside the Biltmore. Hayes heist trending nationwide, with late-night pundits debating if it was greed or grief that broke the American dream. Lila wheezed from the couch, her voice a rasp. Serenity.
Please. I'm sorry.
I knew. About the insurance. But Mom said it was temporary. Lies. All of it. But her eyes, those doe eyes, held a sliver of truth. Maybe she had been the pawn too. dosed on denial while the grown-ups gambled her soul. Harlan lunged then, desperation turning him feral, grabbing for my phone. "You bitch. This ruins us, the church, the business, everything." Jake tackled him, a blur of elbows and curses, while Marlene wailed biblical pleas. In the chaos, I slipped to Lila's side, Evelyn's manicured hand on her fevered brow. "One chance,
Sis.
confess on camera, or join the simulation." She nodded, tears carving tracks in her makeup. The video went live at 3 p.m. Lila, unscripted, spilling the sins, the forgeries, the funds, the swap they'd plotted without me. "Serenity carried us all," she choked. "We broke her for me." Views skyrocketed. Shares from influencers to indies. The court of public opinion handing down verdicts faster than any judge. By evening, the feds were at the door, IRS agents with warrants, SEC hounds sniffing the Ponzi trail. Harlan in cuffs, bellowing about persecution of faith, Marlene catatonic in the back of an ambulance. Hysteria, they called it. Jake and I watched from the driveway, his arm around my waist, Evelyn's waist, like it was the most natural thing. "You're still you," he murmured. "Freaky."
But you.
The twist hit at midnight. Crow's voice crackling over a secure line. Complication. Hems.
Haze.
The vessel's original consciousness? It's not dormant. Evelyn's fighting back. Flashes of memory. Urges. 90 days? Try 60 before she reclaims the throne. Panic clawed at my throat. All this, the leaks, the takedown, for a borrowed life on a timer. But as sirens wailed and the desert night pressed in, I saw the real reversal. They weren't the monsters, we all were.
Me?
For the vengeance that tasted like ash. Lila. For surviving at my expense. Even Jake. Loving a ghost in someone else's skin. I hung up, turning to him under the porch light. "Run with me? Or stay and sort the wreckage?" His smile was wry. "Seattle steel. To Maui?
Hell yeah.
But first, divorce the old life." We drove into the dawn. Voss Empire in my pocket. Hayes ruins in the rearview. Was it justice or just another swap? The forums raged. Therapists booked solid. My old agency even floated a memoir deal. Happy ending? Tragic farce? You tell me. All I know is, in America, revenge isn't a dish. It's the whole damn buffet. And I'm still hungry. The first week in Evelyn's skin was a crash course in high-stakes hide-and-seek, the kind where one wrong glance in the mirror could unravel everything. I holed up in our Vegas penthouse. A glass area atop the Palms casino resort that screamed nouveau riche regret, infinity pool overlooking the sphere's glowing orb. A walk-in closet stuffed with labels I'd only window shopped, and a wine cellar that could double as a bunker. Jake crashed on the sectional, nursing black coffee and conspiracy theories, while I pored over Evelyn's files, mapping the chessboard for checkmate. Voss Dynamics wasn't just a drone maker, it was the invisible hand puppeteering half of Nevada's surveillance state, cameras in every casino eye, AI algorithms predicting blackjack busts before the cards hit felt. Old Man Voss had built it on DARPA contracts, then pivoted to civilian solutions like those neural implants, tiny chips burrowing into gray matter, promising pain-free immortality, but delivering data-mined dreams to the highest bidder. Evelyn's overdose? Not rock bottom, but a boardroom coup, directors whispering she'd destabilize the asset, priming her for harvest. Crow's tech bridged the gap, a black market bridge between Voss hardware and his quantum sorcery. Families like mine, mid-tier desperate, could buy in, uploading loved ones into enhanced vessels, while the core skimmed consciousness for R&D. Harlan had sniffed it out at a real estate mixer in Laughlin, schmoozing a Voss exec over ribeyes and rye. Eternal life for the faithful, he'd texted Marlene, attaching a blurry pic of the prototype rig. Their plan? Swap Lila into a healthy donor, me into oblivion as the ethical donor, framed as suicide. Insurance payout sealing the deal. I felt Evelyn's ghost in the margins, a sudden craving for Adderall in the bathroom drawer. A phantom itch to text a dealer named Ghostwrite. Crow's warning echoed. She's resilient. That one. Fought off 3 priors. So I leaned in, adopting her strut for board calls, her venom for assistants who buzzed too insistently. Scheduled a merger with Neuralink. I'd purr into the speaker, voice husky from disuse, while Jake stifled laughs from the kitchenette. It was theater, sure, but the power was intoxicating, lines of code bending to my will, fortunes flipping with a swipe. By day 3, the Hayes implosion dominated cable news, Fox calling it faith versus fraud. The Wedding from Hell, MSNBC dissecting toxic family capitalism. Protesters picketed the family home, signs reading Save Serenity, not steal, while Lila's confession vid racked 50 million views, spawning TikTok duets of teary reactions and armchair psych evals. My old coworkers demand support. Girl, you're a legend. Spill the tea? Jake fielded the heavy stuff, his calm demeanor a lifeline as tabloids hunted the runaway bride. But the real heat came from within. Marlene, post-ambulance, lawyered up with a Phoenix ambulance chaser who'd once flipped a DUI for a pastor. She leaked her side to a local blogger. Our Serenity's always been dramatic, hormones. You know, this swap nonsense is her coping with the stress. Dramatic. The word festered. A callback to high school when I'd overreacted to finding her rifling my savings jar for Lila's field trip fees. Harlan, from county lockup, smuggled a note via his bail bondsman. Blood don't lie.
Girl. Come home.
We fix this.
Fix.
Like I was a leaky faucet, not the foundation they'd cracked. I ignored it, focusing on the kill shot. Voss's implant database was a goldmine, patient logs laced with backdoors, including a trial run on Lila last month. They'd prepped her, chipping her cortex during a routine procedure at Mayo. Harlan signing off as next of kin. The data showed anomalies, her neural map overlapping mine by 40%. Echoes of shared trauma. Nights I'd held her puke bucket. Birthdays blurred into hospital jello. Was it coincidence? Or had they engineered the compatibility? Grooming us as twins in suffering? The decision gnawed at me. Controversial as a third rail. Mercy kill or full upload. Upload them into the sim. Harlan reliving his Ponzi unravelings. Marlene trapped in endless GoFundMe pleas, and it'd be clean. Corporate vengeance masked as tech glitch. But Lila. She was the variable, the doe-eyed wild card who'd whispered apologies in her fever dreams. Jake caught me staring at the implant schematic one night, his reflection warped in the laptop screen. You're playing God now. Surf. What's the line? The line's been erased. I shot back, Evelyn's edge sharpening my tone. They drew it when they made me the villain in my own story. He pulled me close, his touch grounding the vertigo. But doubt lingered like cheap bourbon. America loves a redemption arc. Think prodigal sons and courtroom weepies. But this was Greek. Media level. The kind that leaves audiences arguing in parking lots. Day 7. The board summoned me to HQ. A brutalist fortress in Henderson. All concrete and paranoia. Ringed by drone patrols that hummed like angry hornets. I arrived in Evelyn's chauffeured Escalade. Power suit-hugging curves I'd never earned. Jake posing as consultant in the shadows. The conference room was a Shark Tank, silver-haired suits circling a holographic display. Merger projections dancing in blue light. Lead director. Victor Lang. A fossil with Rolex regrets. Steepled his fingers. Evelyn. Darling. Tragic about the family drama, our PR team spinning it as philanthropy gone awry. But this haze leak? It's bleeding into our Q4 forecasts. We need deniability. Deniability. The word ignited something feral. I leaned forward, channeling every pitch meeting I'd slaved over. Evelyn's entitlement fueling the fire. Deniability's for amateurs.
Vic.
We're Voss. We own the narrative. Gasps rippled. Jake's foot nudged mine under the table. A silent study. I pulled up the drive, projecting Harlan's emails onto the holo, deal memos, swap specs, Voss signatures glowing like indictments. Your pet project? It's a scandal grenade. But I can bury it for a price. Lang's jowls quivered. Blackmail? From the asset herself. Upgrade. I corrected. Voice silk over steel. Full access to Crow's network. Implant the hazes, test subjects. Voluntary. They confess on upload. You get clean data. I get closure. Murmurs erupted, ethical qualms from the token millennial, greed from the old guard. Lang's eyes narrowed, calculating. And if we decline? I smiled. Evelyn's shark grin. The files hit WikiLeaks at noon. Voss void your soul trends. And your stock tanks harder than Enron. They folded like cheap lawn chairs. By cocktail hour. Contracts were e-signed. A private medevac en route to Phoenix for family reconciliation. Jake drove us back in silence. The desert blurring into ochre streaks. You just sold your parents' souls, he said finally. Not accusation, but awe-tinged fear. Not sold, I whispered. Reclaimed mine. The extraction was surgical, almost anticlimactic. Night fell over the Awatuki house like a shroud, floodlights from Voss security turning the cul-de-sac into a movie set. Lila was prepped in the garage, makeshift or with portable scanners beeping like slot machines, her consent form scrawled for serenity on the dotted line. Marlene arrived in a haze of sedatives. Harlan via sheriff's escort, chains rattling like Jacob Marley's ghost. No teary goodbyes, just the hum of injectors. Consciousnesses siphoned into vials that looked like high-end perfume. I watched from the sidelines. Evelyn's body a spectator's cage. As Crow, flown in under NDA, initiated the upload. Neural mapping complete, he intoned. Screens flickering with brainwave fractals. Harlan's profile spiked first, defiance dissolving into loops of regret. His avatar glitching through phantom boardrooms. Marlene followed. Her sim a carousel of hospital vigils, please echoing in digital void. Lila last. Her map merging briefly with mine, a shared pulse of lullabies and lemon drops, before stabilizing in a donor shell, a healthy 20-something from the Voss pool. Eyes fluttering open in the recovery pod. She sat up, gasping. Voice mine but timbre hers, Sarah. It's really you. No accusations. Just wonder. The twist inverted then. Sharp as a switchblade. In the merge, I'd glimpsed her secrets. Lila hadn't been innocent. She'd hacked my emails at 16, feeding mom dirt on my selfish spending to justify the siphons. I was scared, she admitted later. Over vending machine coffee in the safe house. You were free. I wasn't.
Free.
The illusion shattered. But so did the chains. We talked till dawn, sisters in stolen skins, forging a truce born of mutual wreckage. Harlan and Marlene? Their Sims broadcast confessions at dawn, holographic testimonies airing on every stream. Voss framing it as innovative restorative justice. Convictions followed: fraud, embezzlement, the works, while the family assets dissolved into restitution funds. A chunk earmarked for Serenity's second chance. But Evelyn's pushback escalated. Nightmares of yacht parties and coke-fueled rages. My hands, her hands, itching for the minibar. Crow upped the boosters. But the clock ticked. 40 days left. Jake and I fled to Maui anyway. Wedding registry intact. Toes in the sand as humpbacks breached the horizon. New life, he asked. Ring glinting, our ring. Resized for Evelyn's finger. Or the best dream yet, I replied. But the forums knew better. Threads exploded. Is Voss swap slavery? Hayes heist. Victim or vigilante? Debates raged in dive bars and TED Talks. Ethicists decrying my eugenic revenge while feminists hailed the takedown of patriarchal puppeteers. Happy? In moments. Yes, Lila thriving in Portland. Penning her tell-all, Jake coding indie games from our bungalow. Tragic? In the quiet hours. When Evelyn's laugh bubbled unbidden, reminding me bodies betray as surely as blood. America chews up stories like this. Spits out as cautionary Netflix specials.
Me?
I'm still writing the sequel. One pilfered heartbeat at a time. Laugh last? Damn right. But the joke's on all of us. Month 2 blurred into a fever dream of reinvention. The kind where paradise sours at the edges and every palm tree whispers warnings. Maui was our Eden reboot, black sand beaches at Wailea. Poke bowls sharp with limu. Jake's prototype app turning beta tests into beachside brainstorming sessions. I played Evelyn full-time now. Boardroom diva by Zoom. Philanthropist posting Voss for good selfies with Hawaiian shave ice. The trust fund flowed like Mai Tais, private yoga with instructors who didn't blink at my migraines, a therapist on retainer who prescribed identity integration exercises without prying too deep. But integration was a myth. Evelyn clawed through the cracks, a sudden aversion to Jake's touch. Her memories overlaying mine like double-exposed film. I'd wake gasping from visions of her last gala, champagne flutes shattering against marble as she screamed at a philandering fiancé. Shards catching light like fallen stars. Fight it, Crow advised over encrypted video. His Hawaiian shirt swapped for a hazmat hood in some undisclosed bunker. The inhibitors' side effects include euphoria, paranoia, or spontaneous aphasia. Pick your poison. I chose euphoria, chasing it in sunsets and stolen kisses. But paranoia tagged along like an uninvited +1. Lila checked in weekly from her Portland halfway house, Voss footing the bill for rehab, her new body a lithe runner's frame that let her chase half marathons without wheezing. It's weird.
Being.
Me but not, she'd say. Voice steadier each call. Like wearing someone else's favorite sweater. Comfy, but smells off. We'd laugh. Bonding over the absurdity, sisters swapped into strangers. Plotting family reunions that sounded like support group field trips. The media frenzy hadn't cooled, if anything. It metastasized. A Hulu doc dropped mid-month, swapped vows, the Serenity scandal, with dramatized recreations that cast me as a vengeful siren. Harlan as a buffoonish everyman. Critics raved, a Me Too for family fraud, while conservatives howled woke witchcraft. Jake monitored the noise, His feed's a war zone of deepfakes and dox threats. "They're calling you Frankenstein's bride," he'd joke. But his eyes held the weight. Our paradise funded by a ghost's ghost. The real fracture came at the Voss shareholder summit in Tahoe. A schmooze fest of Gulf Streams and graft where California's elite pretended to save the world over single malt flights. I flew in solo. Jake grounded by a bug he swore was just tacos, though I caught him Googling consciousness transfer divorce clauses. Lang greeted me like a prodigal. Bear hug in the lobby. Whispers of the merger's golden thanks to you. But the undercurrent hummed. Whispers in corners. Sidelong glances at my refreshed glow-up. Dinner was a minefield. Seared ahi under chandeliers. Toasts to innovation's bold faces. Seated beside a Neuralink VC. A shark in bespoke wool named Tessa Ruiz. I fielded probes like jabs. Evelyn. Love the pivot to ethics post. Personal losses. That haze play? Genius PR. Her smile didn't reach her eyes, neither did mine. Halfway through the tiramisu, she dropped the hook. Crow's sloppy.
Though.
Left breadcrumbs, patient logs tying Voss to unauthorized swaps. SEC's sniffing. Darling. You wouldn't know anything. Intimate. Intimate. The word slithered. Evelyn's instincts flaring. She knew Tessa. From catty brunches and betrayed confidences. Flash, a yacht off Catalina. Tessa's hand on Evelyn's knee. Promises of funding swapped for pillow talk. Betrayal. Layered like Philo. I played it cool. Evelyn's laugh a tinkling shield. Intimate? Honey. My intimates are NDAs and non-competes. But inside, the merge glitched, my rage bleeding into hers. A cocktail of Serenity's grudge and Evelyn's entitlement. Post-dinner. In the suite's steam-shrouded bathroom, the dam broke. I stared at the fogged mirror, wiping arcs to reveal cheekbones that mocked me. Who the fuck are you? I hissed. But the reflection smirked back. Evelyn's smirk. Lips curling independent. The voice came not from my throat but in my head. A sultry echo. The better question. Sweetheart. Who are you without me? Panic surged. I slammed the faucet. Water cascading like accusations. Crow later confirmed. Contention phase. She's integrating you. Fight or fold? Fold? Not in my DNA. Back in Maui, I escalated, daily neural zaps via a Voss-issued collar. Like a shock training puppy. Jake noticed the bruises. The way I'd flinch at mirrors. This isn't sustainable, he said one night. Waves crashing beyond our lanai like applause for the inevitable. You're vanishing. Surf. Let me help, real help. Not this corpo voodoo. His words landed like Harlan's old dismissals. Suck it up. Sturdy. And I snapped. Evelyn's venom lacing my reply. Help? Like you helped at the wedding? Staring at your shoes. He recoiled. Hurt, etching lines I'd never seen. And stormed to the guest cabana. Alone. I wept. Not tears of sorrow. But fury at the cage closing in. The twist reversed again. Vengeance hadn't freed me. It had fractalized me. Birthing a hydra of selves. Lila arrived unannounced 2 days later. Knocking at dawn with a duffel and determination. Her donor body suited her, athletic. Unscarred. Eyes bright without the chemo haze. Board approved a visit, she explained. Hugging me stiffly. Therapy homework. Confront the monster. We hiked the road to Hannah that afternoon. Waterfall's thundering secrets as she unpacked her side. The hacks. The manipulations. How mom's for family mantra had twisted her into a co-conspirator. I thought if I helped bleed you dry, it'd make me worthy, she admitted. pausing at a bamboo grove. But worthy of what? Their love was alone, always with interest. Her confession cracked something in me, not forgiveness, but recognition. We were both Hayes girls, forged in the same fire of conditional affection. And now? I asked, vines tangling our ankles like old habits. Now we rewrite the will, she grinned, a ghost of our childhood mischief. Over poke and plumeria lays. We schemed, Lila lobbying Voss for ethical oversight reforms. Me, us, exposing the swap black market via anonymous drops to ProPublica. Controversial moves? Sure, trading one empire's dirt for another's scrutiny, but it felt like agency. Not atonement. Jake thawed by week's end, joining us for luau's where fire dancers spun metaphors for our mess. Truce, he offered, hand extended over Kahlua pig. I took it, Evelyn's grip firm, but mine in intent. The euphoria returned, fragile as sea glass, but real. Yet the clock mocked us. 29 days. Crow's updates grew terse, contention stabilizing, but Evelyn's core memories surfacing. Prepare for handover. Handover. The word chilled, evoking wedding envelopes rifled for scraps. In quiet moments, I mourned the simplicity, Serenity Hayes, copywriter with calluses and dreams unswapped. But power's a drug, and withdrawal loomed. The climax brewed back stateside. A Voss innovation retreat in Sedona's Red Rocks, vortex tours by day, strategy sessions by night. Lang invited me as keynote. Share your transformation journey, Evelyn. Inspire the troops. Jake and Lila tagged as support, our trio a makeshift family amid crystal healers and kombucha fountains. The amphitheater buzzed that evening. 200 execs in linen under star-pricked skies, expecting platitudes on resilience. I took the stage, mic heavy as judgment, Evelyn's poise masking my tremor. Transformation, I began, voice amplified across the canyon, isn't a spa day. It's surgery without anesthesia, cutting out the rot to see if what's left can breathe. Slides flickered. Anonymized Hayes docs. Voss implant ethics gaps. Crow's quantum caveats blurred for deniability. Gasps rippled, Lang's face purpled in the front row. This tech. I pressed, channeling every pitch I'd bled for. It's not salvation, it's substitution. We swap bodies like stocks, souls like apps. But who owns the upgrade? The core? The desperate? Or the ghosts we leave behind? The crowd shifted, nods from the young guns, scowls from the suits. Then the hook. I know, because I'm living it. Not Evelyn Voss. Serenity Hayes, the bride who lost her life to save a sister's.
And tonight?
I'm swapping back. Publicly. Permanently. Chaos erupted, security scrambling. Phones lighting like fireflies as I triggered the upload, a virus from Lila's hack. Beaming my consciousness to a waiting donor pod in Crow's lab. Evelyn's essence queued for release. Lang lunged on stage, bellowing treason, but Jake blocked him. Lila live-streaming the melee to swap Sedona. The vortex swirled, literal and figurative, as my vision tunneled. Agony redux, but chosen this time. I woke in a nondescript shell, mid-30s. Unremarkable. Healthy, a standard issue from the pool. No heiress baggage. Sedona General. Monitors beeping normalcy. Jake and Lila at bedside like sentinels. Welcome back, he whispered, kissing a forehead that felt like home. Evelyn? Her consciousness rerouted to a cryo vault, Voss's asset recovery pending lawsuits. The fallout was biblical. Voss stock cratered 40%. SEC raids dawnlit the HQ. Lang indicted for racketeering. Harlan and Marlene Sims? Archived as evidence. Their loops subpoenaed for trials that dragged into summer. Lila testified. Her new voice steady. We were all vessels. Time to empty the hold.
Me?
I faded to obscurity. Serenity Doe. Freelance writer in a Boise cabin. Jake's our nest egg. No headlines. No hauntings.
Happy?
In the marrow. Yes, free of the weight. Loved without ledger.
Beakik.
Ask the ethicists. Did I liberate or just redistribute the chains? The debates echo in podcasts. Philosophy 101s. Barstool rants. Last laugh? Mine. Echoing soft in the Teton's quiet. But laughter's fleeting. Truth's the twist that lingers. Epilogues in America aren't tidy. They're sequels disguised as denouements. Loose threads snagging on the next big nothing. 6 months post-Sedona. And the dust had mostly settled. Voss Dynamics rebranded to Echo Ethics, a neutered giant peddling consent-based neural aids, with disclaimers longer than Tolstoy. Lang plea bargained to community service. Hawking TEDx talks on lessons from the ledge. Crow vanished into witness protection. His Hawaiian shirt swapped for witness stands in The Hague, spilling on quantum quackery for immunity. Harlan and Marlene? Their trials were tabloid catnip. Prayer profiteers faced judgment, ending in 20 to life for fraud. With SIM extractions ruled cruel and unusual by a bleeding heart judge. I visited once. Through plexiglass at Florence ADX. Harlan's face a roadmap of regret. Marlene's eyes vacant as downloaded dolls. Forgive us, he croaked. But forgiveness isn't a vending machine virtue. I left with time will tell, the door clanging like a full stop. Lila thrived. Oddly, her donor life a blank canvas, she painted with vigor. Ultramarathons in the Cascades. A podcast called Swap Stories, interviewing swap survivors from Mumbai to Minneapolis. We met quarterly. Neutral ground like Reno diners. Swapping updates over black coffee and no sugar creamer. Miss the old me sometimes, she'd admit. Flexing fingers unscarred by needles. But this? It's mine. No blood debt between us now. Just the bond of survivors who know the cost of clean slates. Jake and I, we carved our corner in Boise's foothills, a craftsman fixer-upper with a view of the Boise River snaking silver through pines. His app, Echo, blowing up as a therapy tool for trauma loops. Mornings were ritual, him coding in sweatpants. Me at the desk hammering pitches for outdoor mags. Words flowing freer, without the haze hex.
Nights.
We'd hike bogus basin trails. His hand in mine a tether against the what-ifs. Regrets? He'd ask on those crepuscular rambles. Sagebrush whispering conspiracies. Only that I didn't swap sooner. I'd quip. But truth was thornier. The donor body, let's call her Ava, faceless file from the pool, left echoes, a yen for jazz standards I'd never heard. A scar on the knee from a childhood crash in Cleveland. Integration therapy helped. Crow's inhibitors weaned to placebos. But dreams blended us, Serenity's wedding veil tangling with Ava's prom dress. Evelyn's yacht parties crashing family barbecues. Who was I? Really? The sturdy sister. The vengeful heiress. The blank slate every person? America peddles reinvention like snake oil. But some stains seep soul deep. The controversy simmered on. A cultural boil that wouldn't burst. My memoir, ghostwritten. Voss settled. Hit bestseller lists as Swapped at the Altar. A Bride's Reckoning. Blurbed by everyone from Breen Brown to Ben Shapiro. Panels debated it endlessly. Oxford Union on the ethics of embodiment, South by Southwest keynotes on text-family feud. Feminists crown me icon, reclaiming the narrative from natal Nazis, while tradcons decried Franken-feminism run amok. Online, it fractured further. r/true crime pods dissecting the Hayes hoax, Q-adjacent forums spinning swap tech as deep state's soul traps. I tuned it out. Mostly, until the fan mail. Envelopes postmarked from Topeka to Tallahassee. Scrawled with "You gave me courage to leave my Harlan," or "Is swap real? My sister's dying too." Those hit hardest. Ripples of my recklessness. One night. Post-reading in a Boise indie shop. Crowd of 20. Mostly blue hairs nodding over Chardonnay. I fielded a Q&A zinger from a vet in the back. Was it worth it? The revenge. The lives upended. Jake tense beside me. Podium light hot as interrogation. I paused. Tasting the room's held breath. Evelyn's poise flickering unbidden. Worth it, I echoed. Voice steady. Revenge isn't a ledger you balance, it's a mirror you shatter. I see clearer now, flaws and all. My family's.
Mine. But yeah.
I'd do it again. Not for the laugh, but the light after. Applause scattered. Polite but probing. And later, over Thai takeout in the truck. Jake probed deeper. Light after. Poetic. Surf. But is it dawn or dusk? His eyes searched mine, Ava's eyes. Green as Idaho Springs, and I saw the fracture. Love enduring, but strained by the stranger in my skin. The final twist dropped unannounced. A crow courier at our door one crisp October morn. Idaho fall painting aspens gold. Air crisp with wood smoke. Package, a thumb drive labeled contingency, and a note for the true heir. Use wisely or don't. E.C. Jake plugged it in warily. Screens blooming with files. Blueprints for a reversal rig. Portable swap station crowdfundable for under $50K. Evelyn's contingency. Buried in VA servers. Her escape hatch from the cryo. A way to hot bodies like hotel rooms. Why me? I murmured. Drive warm in my palm like contraband. Jake's jaw tightened. Because you're the survivor. The one who wins.
Wins.
The word echoed Harlan's old casino boasts. But this? Power absolute. Pandora's app for the aggrieved. I could swap back, chase Serenity's ghost into another shell, or forward. Into youth or strength or anonymity. Lila called that night. Voice electric. Do it. We could. Sync up. Sisters forever. No strings. Temptation coiled. Serpent slick. Forums would explode anew. Brides back. Sequel swap. Debates raging on autonomy versus addiction. Controversial to the core. Gift or curse. Liberation or loop. I deleted the files at dawn. Drives snapped in the fireplace. Flames devouring code like absolution. Jake watched. Relief softening his shoulders. End of a line? New line, I corrected, pulling him into the chill air. River murmuring below. No more swaps. No borrowed breaths. Just us flawed. Fused. Forward. Happy ending? If happiness is the space between fractures.
Yeah. Beakik.
Only if you measure in mirrors unbroken. The last laugh's quiet now. Shared in whispers over coffee. Echoing in the choices we choose not to make. America argues on, podcasts pontificate, panels polarize, but here, in the heart of the heartland, it's just life. Lived raw, reclaimed real. And damn if it doesn't taste like freedom.